Hi, welcome to the bathtub. It's the old masturbator, Scott Bradfield. And as I'm known in China, not just China, all Eastern cultures and neighborhoods, Pao Zhao Jiao Shou, foamy bathtub professor, held in high regard until the Trump tariffs took effect. Once the Trump tariffs showed up, I'm suddenly now the, what do you call it? You pointless Yankee bastard. That's what they call me now. But anyway, I was considered a very big deal at one point in the Asian nations. Today we're talking. We have a lot of recurring. They're not challenges because we do these for fun. We're going to, as we reach the end of our life, we want to kind of make sure we've kind of read all the people we really like and reread them. And we're reading our way through Richard Brautigan. We've been doing this for a few years. Richard Brautigan is for many people, they think he's just kind of ridiculously silly, trite, saccharine nonsense. Other people like me enjoy him. I've enjoyed him since I was a kid. And I must like silly, trite, ridiculous comic nonsense. And he's good at all that stuff. Anyway, this is the Abortion, a historical romance, 1966. I've never read this. I'm reading the biography now. I've told you this. We've been doing this for a while. We've been reading the amazingly enjoyable William Hjortsberg, a buddy and neighbor of Brautigan's for many years. Lucky's going to start barking because the mailman just showed up. Because it's very long. And I'm reading along as I read the books, which I kind of find fun. Lots of photos, lots of anecdotes, lots of people who knew Brautigan personally. And he really has had a kind of a fascinating guy. Sounds like a lot of fun. As he got older, I know this is kind of a spoiler alert. For people I know who met him, as he got older, the alcoholism turned him into kind of an unpleasant guy. That's what I've heard. Anyway, one of the things they talk a lot about in the biography is how Brautigan started getting these girls. He was quite well known because of the covers. And this girl's quite cute, and she's got a hippie-ish little girl, not little girl, young woman. And sometimes they were his girlfriends, sometimes they weren't. But he liked having these pictures with the girls on the cover, and they seemed to attract people to buy his books. I don't know why that is. Anyway, this is the last time he does it. Oh no, he does Revenge of the Lawn. He does one or two other books after this, but then he stops doing it soon. The Abortion. Anyway, it's a fairly longish book. It was published as he was becoming extremely successful. The biography is really fun following his career. As up until the previous books, he had started to develop a really good, strong reputation. And his publishers, and I think it was Delacorte, published a 3-volume book of Brautigan. I think it was Watermelon Sugar and Trout Fishing in America, and maybe a book of his poetry. I can't remember. Anyway, they put this big 1-volume edition, and it was a big hit. Started making him fairly good money. He was always going off on tours where he gave readings, and he would give readings for 45 minutes and then take the money and run. There's lots of stories about the silly things he would do. There's one I think he did in Boston where he didn't even get up on stage. He sat behind a slide projector and showed different punctuation marks on a screen and talked about the different punctuation marks. I don't know. And ended with something like, "And now you understand America," or something silly like that. Anyway, he didn't take himself seriously. But he became a fairly decent businessman. He seems like he knew how to make a little bit of money, and he started making quite a lot of money. The Abortion was not considered his. It didn't get great reviews. It got kind of mediocre reviews. He was pretty famous by that time. When I read it the first time, I think I quit halfway through it. I think it was the one I stopped reading about Brautigan for a while, and I went back to see what I thought of it, and I enjoyed it quite a bit. It's not a lot. It's not as fun. It's not as brilliant and sharp as some of his earlier books. It's basically about a relationship between a writer like Richard Brautigan and a young woman who's described as very, very attractive, and the fact that she gets pregnant. And most of the book is about him taking her to Mexico to get an abortion. It's a romance about abortion, and I think it's sort of a good time for a novel like this. Anyway, he goes to Mexico, and reminds me quite a bit of Hemingway in some ways, just a really direct, clear, emotionless descriptions of things and the way they kind of elicit emotions from the reader. The funniest part of the book is the beginning where he runs a library. It's quite mysterious, unpixelated water. It's the post-tech generation, And he works in a library where people can bring their books, and they can put them in the library. Basically, they come in, they write these books, and then they show up at any time of the day or the night, and he takes it and files it, and he says you can put it anywhere in the library you want. So they can put it on the shelves or on a table or next to the sofa. And they all have written these kind of crazy books. And it's a home for crazy books that people wrote. I guess that's the best way I can describe the library that this guy works in. Let me read you two or three quick things quickly. I'll read the first paragraph. I think it starts off just some of Brautigan's really nice, clean, tight, unusual prose. The first chapter is called The Library. This is a beautiful library, timed perfectly, lush and American. The hour is midnight, and the library is deep and carried like a dreaming child into the darkness of these pages. Though the library is closed, I don't have to go home because this is my home and has been for years, and besides, I have to be here all the time. That's part of my position. I don't want to sound like a petty official, but I am afraid to think what would happen if somebody came and I wasn't there. He feels he can't leave this place because he wants to be at home for these books. They're going to be delivered to him. I have been sitting at this desk for hours, staring into the darkened shelves of books. I love their presence, the way they honor the wood they rest upon. I know it's going to rain. Clouds have been playing with the blue style of the sky all day long, moving their heavy black wardrobes in, but so far nothing, rain, has happened. I closed the library at 9, but if somebody has a book to bring in, there is a bell they can ring by the door that calls me from whatever I am doing in this place, sleeping, cooking, eating, or making love to Vida, who will be here shortly. She gets off work at 11:30. I'm going to stop there. Anyways, it's a lovely opening passage. At one point, he describes a lot of the books that are in this library. I'm just going to read two or three of them, and then you can go. So these are the books he has sitting around the library that people have delivered. My Trike by Chuck. The author was 5 years old and had a face that looked as if it had been struck by a tornado of freckles. There was no title on the book and no words inside, just pictures. What's the name of your book? I said. The little boy opened the book and showed me the drawing of a tricycle. It looked more like a giraffe standing upside down in an elevator. That's my trike, he said. Beautiful, I said. And what's your name? That's my trike. Yes, I said, very nice, but what's your name? Chuck. He reached the book up onto the desk and then headed for the door, saying, I have to go now. My mother's outside with my sister. I was going to tell him that he could put the book on any shelf he wanted to, but then he was gone in his small way. As every book is delivered, he writes a little entry about the people and how they brought it in. This is a list of his entries. Leather Clothes and the History of Man by S.M. Justice. The author was quite motorcyclish and wearing an awful lot of leather clothes. His book was made entirely of leather. Somehow the book was printed. I have never seen a 290-page book printed on leather before. When the author turned the book over to the library, he said, I like a man who likes leather. I'm just going to read these at random. It's The Queen of Darkness, pal, by Rod Keene. The author was wearing overalls and had on a pair of rubber boots. I work in the city sewers, he said, handing the book to me. It's science fiction. Your Clothes Are Dead by Les Steinman. The author looked like an ancient Jewish tailor. He was very old and looked as if he had made some shirts for Don Quixote. They are, you know, he said, showing the book to me as if it were a piece of cloth, a leg from a pair of trousers. I think that's it. I'll leave it at that. The Culinary Dostoevsky by James Fallon. The author said the book was a cookbook of recipes he had found in Dostoevsky's novels. Some of them are very good, he said. I've eaten everything Dostoevsky ever cooked. Anyway, there you go. The abortion, it was better than I remembered it, and we're going to carry on through. I do want to read his late career stuff, because I didn't read most of that, and it often got badly reviewed, and I get the feeling he was kind of... I did read his very last novel. I reviewed it. It was one of those recovered novels. It was finished, but had never been published. Unfortunate Woman, I think it was called. And it was really good. I remember his last unpublished novel was very good. So we're going to work our way through Brautigan, and we're going to finish this wonderful Healdsburg. Sometime before the beginning of the third Trump administration. That's our plan. We're trying to get everything done before then. All right. Stay safe.